Lunchtime. Is that good? Yeah, we happy? We happy, Pen? So peeps, let's talk about willpower. And one of the few things that people don't realise is that willpower is a muscle. And like a muscle, it can be trained. But also like a muscle, it can be exhausted as well. We don't have an endless supply of willpower. There's a finite amount. So essentially, when you go or begin a day, you go to work. And let's say you work in an office. Well, you have to expend a certain amount of willpower to do your job. Expend a certain amount of willpower to reply to emails and do your general day-to-day stuff. And like a muscle, it's going to get fatigued. Then when you get to the end of the day, your will or your willpower to say go to the gym after work or to stay on track with your diet and the will to resist that chocolate bar that's in the cupboard, etc., is going to be diminished because you fatigued that muscle all day. This is why people are usually the most successful in the morning, because they've got a full, replenished and refreshed stock of willpower. The muscle isn't fatigued. So the first thing you need to recognize is that willpower is a finite thing. So you need to be very, very careful about how you spend your willpower and at what times of the day you structure things like your training. If you find you're skipping a lot of exercise sessions or things like that, then potentially the evening doesn't work for you. But at the same time, if you do find that your willpower with regards to reaching for the sweet things in the cupboard is hard in the evening, it could be that welcome distraction of heading out for a walk and doing some exercise that keeps you away from the cupboard, because you know that if you're home, your willpower is not going to be strong enough to resist it. And this is where the personal element of willpower and structuring your program around your life, not what you think you should do, is so important. The other thing about willpower, which is quite interesting, is like a muscle, it can be trained, and you can train yourself to increase your willpower. Have you ever noticed when you're a few weeks into a diet or a few weeks into a program and the ball is rolling and you're tracking regularly, your nutrition is on point, your exercise is there, have you ever noticed how easy it is to resist the chocolate bar and things like that? Way easier than it was in the beginning. That's because over time you have trained your willpower. You haven't expended it on useless things throughout the course of the day, but you have trained it like a muscle to be stronger to resist. And that training has come in the form of adherence. The longer you adhere to something, the longer you have this role, or the longer you're on a roll, the stronger that muscle is going to become. Honestly, no joke guys, this stuff is all scientifically proven back in the 1990s with multiple experiments that scientists did. But the main takeaway point from this is to recognize that you have control over your willpower. And if you want to be successful on your diet, program, etc. going forwards, not only do you need to recognize to not expend willpower on tasks and jobs that you don't really feel like doing or decisions you don't really feel like making, but you also need to recognize that your willpower does diminish as the day goes on. It does diminish, and therefore you need to protect that willpower and expend the energy, use that muscle very, very wisely. You also need to consider that willpower can be trained. So with every day and with every moment of adherence on the program, your willpower is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. It's not a case of just having willpower or not having willpower. It's a hell of a lot more complex than that. So the next time you've had, let's say, a moment of weakness and you've reached for a chocolate bar, or perhaps you've binged, instead of going, well, I don't have any willpower, look at it a different way. Look at it in the sense of, how did I expend my willpower that day that led me to the point where I had no willpower left, like a battery for example, to resist that food. Remember, adherence and non-adherence on a program is not just black or white. There is always a reason behind it, and there's always a lot to be learned from it. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn more about yourself and more about your needs. Remember, this whole weight management thing isn't a finite process. It's not just 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever, and jobs are good in. Weight management is a lifelong thing, and therefore you need to recognize that the behaviors you put in place are lifelong, and therefore you need to understand yourself better and learn more and more about yourself the more you go through life. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Unfortunately nowadays the lilies are starting to look a little bit diminished. Also, for bonus videos throughout the day, if you're not following me on Instagram, then jump over and check out @Ballard-Moyse. My Insta story is updated daily with motivational tips like the ones I've given you today. So if you feel like you need a little bit more motivation throughout the day, you'd like a daily boost, then jump over there, the best place to go. On another note, if you did enjoy this video, do give it a subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. All the best.